What's up, everyone? This video you are watching right now is the year in wrestling 1993 part 3 coming at you right now. I'm going to start it off talking about WWF King of the Ring 1993 pay-per-view held in Dayton, Ohio. It was a pretty good crowd during this pay-per-view. First match kicked off the King of the Ring tournament. This pay-per-view was basically built around the tournament to crown a new King of the Ring winner. It was a new pay-per-view concept for the WWF. It was the first King of the Ring on pay-per-view to be added with the other big four pay-per-views. So King of the Ring made it the 5th WWF pay-per-view of the year in 93. First match in the tournament, Bret Hitman Hart defeated Razor Ramon in 10 minutes, 25 seconds. It was a damn good match to start off the tournament and start off the pay-per-view. Another tournament match. Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, defeated Mr. Hughes by disqualification when Harvey Whippleman handed Mr. Hughes the Undertaker's urn, and Mr. Hughes started beating on Mr. Perfect with the urn of the Undertaker. Mr. Perfect qualified for the King of the Ring, I believe, on Monday Night Raw. They had a qualifying match in, I think, June or May of 93 on Raw. Mr. Perfect defeated Doink the Clown to be put in the King of the Ring tournament on pay-per-view. So Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart advance. Up next, you had Bam Bam Bigelow, great big man, defeat Hacksaw Jim Duggan in a King of the Ring tournament match. It was very quick, only 4 minutes 59 seconds. So Bam Bam goes on. Lex Luger and Tatanka in a King of the Ring tournament matchup wrestled to a 15-minute time limit draw. So then there was a bye. I believe Bam Bam Bigelow advanced and went to the finals. After Lex Luger and Tatanka did not advance, Bam Bam went on to the finals of the King of the Ring. Semi-finals matchups. Bret the Hitman Hart defeated Mr. Perfect in 18 minutes, 56 seconds. Very good wrestling match. Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect always worked super well together, and they put on great matches. So Bret Hart goes on to the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, where it was Bret the Hitman Hart taking on Bam Bam Bigelow, the Beast from the East. And this was a good match, a very good King of the Ring finals. It went, as everybody should know, Bret the Hitman Hart won. Bret Hart wins the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view and the tournament. He wins and is crowned as the new King of the Ring. And after Bret Hart was crowned as King of the Ring, and he was on the stage being interviewed, put on his crown and his cape, whatever, I think it was a cape, and his scepter, you had Jerry the King Lawler from behind attack Bret the Hitman Hart, attack him really bad, throw the King's chair down on the ground. I believe he may have broke it. I think he broke his crown because Jerry Lawler was a heel and he was feuding, and that really kicked off their feud. That really kicked off the Bret Hart, Jerry the King Lawler feud, because they started a feud after Jerry Lawler attacked Bret Hart at the King of the Ring. Then they kicked off their feud, and their feud was pretty damn good, and it lasted a pretty long time. Lasted 2 years, from 93 to 95. after Bret Hart won the King of the Ring, you had Papa Shango defeat Owen Hart in a match. In a 8-man tag team match, you had the Smoking Guns, Bart Gunn and Billy Gunn, the Smoking Guns, and the Steiner Brothers defeat the Head Shrinkers and Money Incorporated when Billy Gunn pinned Ted DiBiase. Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels defeated Crush. The title was on the line, and Kevin Nash, this was his first WWF pay-per-view. Kevin Nash, a.k.a. Diesel, Shawn Michaels' new bodyguard. He was revealed as Shawn's new bodyguard on a Monday Night Raw from 93. Before King of the Ring 93, but Diesel was in the house on his first WWF pay-per-view. It was King of the Ring 93, but he did not wrestle. His first wrestling pay-per-view for Kevin Nash was Survivor Series 93. So Shawn Michaels retains against Crush, and that was the right decision. Nobody wanted to see Crush in that god-awful orange, that orange wrestling gear, orange and purple wrestling gear. Nobody wanted to see Crush as the Intercontinental Champion. I'm sorry. I know the guy passed away. Brian Adams was his name. I know he passed away, and it's very sad. God rest his soul. But Crush was never going to be an Intercontinental Champ or WWF World Champ. His time in the WWF, he was a star, but he was like a mid-card wrestler. He was never a main event guy. And obviously WWF was pushing Shawn Michaels at the time as a top player. He was an Intercontinental Champ for a very long time in 93, and they were pushing him a lot. Up next, you had the WWF Championship on the line. Let me move my chair here. Yokozuna challenging the newly crowned champion, Hulk Hogan, for the WWF Championship. Hulk Hogan defeated Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9 earlier in the year in like 30 seconds. So Hogan basically was the champion at King of the Ring 93, and Hogan was basically holding on to the title to job back to Yokozuna to do a favor, I guess, for Vince McMahon. Hogan did the favor going out of the WWF, his last wrestling appearance for the WWF. It was in June 93. This was his last WWF pay-per-view appearance until February of 2002, when he would return finally to the WWF after 9 years gone. And most of that time, the 9 years, probably 7 of it was in WCW. So Hogan does the job to Yokozuna on the way out of the door to leave the company that he basically built and put on his back. Hogan was there from late 83 until 93. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan and the business decisions of Vince McMahon, we would have no wrestling business. We would have no sports entertainment today. Hulk Hogan was that important. The guy built the WWF into the global phenomenon that it is today. The guy is the godfather of, I don't really want to say wrestling because Hogan was never a great wrestler, but he is the godfather of sports entertainment and wrestling. Everybody on this planet old people, young people, just about everybody. If you ask, do a poll, probably 95% or more know the name and know who Hulk Hogan is. He's a huge star. He's a face of wrestling. He's a godfather. He's he built WWE basically. Everybody knows that. So Hogan does the job to Yokozuna, King of the Ring 93. I was surprised to watch it and see Hogan lose. I was actually in shock. I didn't think Hogan would lose to Yokozuna, but obviously he left because he wanted to retire at the time and take time off. He thought he was going to retire, but obviously WCW and their offer and Ric Flair helped getting Hogan back in wrestling to come to WCW. Ric Flair really helped talking Hogan into coming to WCW. So basically Hogan thought he was going to be retired in 93 until a year later, summer of 94, you go to WCW and sign. And Hogan thought he was going to be retired after King of the Ring, I guess, and do his television show, his acting show he did, Thunder in Paradise. He thought he was going to be an actor and be a movie star. He did a couple movies, but they were not profitable at all. His movies weren't bad. I enjoyed No Holds Barred, but it was like a wrestling movie. It was basically only wrestling fans probably watched it. I don't think it made even close. I don't know how much it made in theaters, but No Holds Barred with Hogan and Zeus in it, I don't think it made very much money at all. It was like a wrestling movie. And then he did a movie, Suburban Commando. It was decent. It wasn't great. I believe The Undertaker even had a role in Suburban Commando. The Undertaker is in there. I don't know the year it came out. I think it's 91. The Undertaker is in one of Hogan's movies. It's called Suburban Commando. If you ever watch it or buy it online somewhere. Mr. Nanny. He was in Mr. Nanny. That was a pretty good movie. I'm not going to say it was great, but I did not hate it. It was okay. Mr. Nanny was okay. And then throughout the 90s, 95, 96, 98, 99, Hogan would do other movies that were basically TV movies on TNT. So Hogan leaves WWF, jobs to Yoko, does the right thing, and gives the title back to Yokozuna. Now I'm going to talk about WCW, the pay-per-view in the summer. Beach Blast 93 from July 18th, 93. Held in Biloxi, Mississippi. You had something else I was looking at that I had written down. First match at Beach Blast 93 was television championship on the line. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff defended against Ron Simmons. If Paul Orndorff got disqualified, he would lose the TV title. Obviously, he did not. Paul Orndorff defeated Ron Simmons by disqualification to retain the TV title. Up next, you had Too Cold Scorpio and Marcus Alexander Bagwell. They were still a tag team at the time. Defeat Tex Slinginger and Shanghai Pierce. They were a tag team in WCW 93, and both of them, obviously, I think Tex was one of the Godwins. He was Minion, also Minion in what's his damn name? The other Godwin, not Henry Godwin. Phineas Godwin. Anyways, this tag team against Too Cold and Marcus at Beach Blast 93. The other tag team was the Godwins before they were the Godwins in the WWF. Marcus and Too Cold win. Too Cold Scorpio does a 450 splash off the top to win it. I always love that move. And Too Cold Scorpio was super innovative. One of the first guys I've seen ever in wrestling do a 450 splash. It was Too Cold Scorpio. I don't know if he invented the move or saw it in Japan or what, but he brought it to the United States. Too Cold Scorpio was fucking awesome. In his time in WCW, he was a great high flyer, awesome talent. WWF screwed him when they brought him in and pushed him as Flash Funk. That was god awful, stupid ass gimmick. Up next, you had a match nobody gave a F about. Nothing against Steven Regal. He's a great worker. Hall of Fame talent. Steven Regal defeated Eric Watts, and nobody gave a damn. I don't know why Eric Watts was even still on WCW pay-per-views in '93. He shouldn't have been. So Lord Steven Regal defeats Eric Watts. Up next, you had Johnny B. Bad defeat Max Payne in another god-awful, boring-ass match. Now this match was actually good on Beach Blast. You had the World Tag Team Championships on the line. The Hollywood Blondes defended against the new Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson and Paul Roma. In this match would go almost 30 minutes. It was great tag team action, great tag team wrestling. They told a great story, and it was great tag team match to watch. The Hollywood Blondes defeat Arn Anderson and Paul Roma in 26 minutes 14 seconds to retain their tag team titles. Up next, another very good match on Beach Blast. There were 3 pretty good matches, I thought, on Beach Blast. This was the second really good match. You had Rick Rude and Dustin Rhodes wrestled in a 30-minute Iron Man challenge for the United States title. I believe the winner got the U.S. title because it was vacated or something. Time limit. I guess it was a time limit draw because Dustin Rhodes and Rick Rude were both tied 1-1. They both got pinfall, so it was tied. So I guess nobody won the U.S. title. It says they wrestled to a time limit draw when the Iron Man match was tied and it ended. So the match ends in a draw, no new U.S. champ. Or maybe Dustin or Rick Rude might have been the U.S. champion at the time, I don't remember. Up next, you had Ric Flair challenge Barry Windham for the NWA Championship. And the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, would win the NWA Championship for the 10th time in his career. He became a world champion. 10th time. That was pretty awesome. Ric Flair, after the match, cut a really good promo. The main event was Davey Boy Smith and Sting teaming up to take on the masters of the Powerbomb, Sid Vicious and Big Van Vader. It was a pretty good tag match, pretty good main event to end the show, and Davey Boy and Sting would beat Sid Vicious and Big Van Vader in 16 minutes 44 seconds. Now I'm going to talk about SummerSlam 1993. SummerSlam 93 was a decent show. There was probably only one really good match on it. That was the opening match. Anyways, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Not the opening match. I think it was the second match. Tag team match. SummerSlam 93 took place on August 30th, 93 from the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan. First match was Razor Ramon taking on Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Razor Ramon turned face. After the King of the Ring pay-per-view, Razor Ramon would become a babyface. And the fans loved him, and he got really cheered, and people loved him. Razor Ramon defeats Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. And this was Ted DiBiase's last WWF wrestling appearance. Last time he would wrestle on a pay-per-view for the WWF. He would retire. I think he retired right after SummerSlam 93 from wrestling, from the ring. But $1 Million Man was on a lot of pay-per-views. And when he started, his first pay-per-view was WrestleMania 4. And he would last pretty long time until SummerSlam 93 wrestling on WWF pay-per-views. So Razor defeats Ted DiBiase on Ted DiBiase's last pay-per-view appearance where he wrestled. Up next, a very good tag match. Probably was the match of the show, in my opinion. There weren't very many good matches at all on SummerSlam 93. It's not really worth watching. But this match is. The Steiner Brothers were the World Tag Team Champions. They defeated the Heavenly Bodies, and these two teams had a great tag team match. It was also Jim Cornette's first WWF pay-per-view appearance. He got on the microphone and said, "Here are the Heavenly Bodies," and that was his first appearance working for the WWF, was SummerSlam 93 as a manager. The Steiners, as I said, they defeated the Heavenly Bodies. Up next, you had the Intercontinental title on the line. Shawn Michaels defended against Mr. Perfect, and Shawn Michaels beat Mr. Perfect by countout. It was an okay match. Both of these guys are awesome in the ring, but it just did not get enough time. And it could have been way, way, way better. Up next, you had just like throwaway matches that nobody really cared about. IRS defeated the 1-2-3 Kid. Jerry Lawler was supposed to wrestle Bret Hart. Jerry Lawler cuts a long promo before the match, claiming he's injured and he saved somebody that he saw in a car accident. He claims he saved them and pulled them out of the car, and he was a hero or something. And he had a neck brace on, and he was on crutches, and he had his knee taped up. So he probably did have a knee injury, but he still wrestled. After Jerry Lawler was on the microphone a very long time, Doink the Clown replaced Jerry Lawler to wrestle Bret Hart. And Jerry Lawler later, after Bret, I believe, defeated Doink, or Doink just left the ring, Jerry Lawler would have to get in the ring with Bret Hart, and Jerry Lawler would beat and defeat Bret Hart. When the decision was reversed, Bret Hart, I guess, won, and then the referee reversed the decision when Bret Hart would not let go of Jerry Lawler after putting him in the sharpshooter, Bret Hart would not let go and release the sharpshooter, so he got disqualified. Jerry Lawler wins. That was a decent match. To see Lawler and Bret in the ring, they always worked well together. Another throwaway, boring match. Should have not been on the pay-per-view, period. Luke Vigborga, stupid heel, talking about how much he hates America, one of those gimmicks. Luke Vigborga defeats Marty Jannetty. Very boring. Just really boring match. In a Rest in Peace match, The Undertaker defeated the Giant Gonzalez. And it was not very good. In a 6-man tag team match, the team of Tatanka and the Smoking Guns defeated the Head Shrinkers and Bam Bam Bigelow. That was a decent match. And in the main event, Lex Luger would challenge Yokozuna for the WWF World Championship. I believe the rumors were that Lex was supposed to win the title and go over on Yokozuna at SummerSlam 93, but for some reason they made the decision to not have Lex Luger become world champion, and they pushed him like crazy. They turned Lex babyface from the narcissist gimmick to the All-American gimmick and the American Hero gimmick. He returned in June, or I think July 4th, 93. He returned. WWF held a body slam challenge on a Navy ship, USS Navy ship. I think it was in New York somewhere. Anyways, they had a ring set up on a Navy ship. On July 4th, 93, Lex Luger, they had football players from the NFL try to slam Yokozuna. Nobody could slam him. Randy Savage tried to slam Yokozuna. He couldn't. Scott Steiner tried. Steiner was jacked. He couldn't slam Yoko. And then you have Lex Luger come to save us, to save America. They pushed him like crazy. He came out of down from in a helicopter. He landed, got out of the helicopter, had a red, white, and blue flag t-shirt on, went to the ring and body slammed Yokozuna. The crowd went nuts. They loved it. They all had little American flags they were waving because it was July 4th. And it was a pretty awesome moment. So Lex Luger, from that second he slammed Yokozuna, he was over as a babyface right away. But they did not give him the title. I guess they didn't believe in Lex. And my God, they pushed him. They put him in that bus, that Lex Express bus. They put him in there, and he drove all over the country and basically did autograph signings everywhere. And like he was pushed as the replacement, basically, I think. And I'm sure he was pushed as Hulk Hogan's replacement in the WWF. And Lex Luger, as the All-American gimmick, was supposed to replace Hulk Hogan. What a joke that is. Nobody could ever replace Hulk Hogan in the gimmick he had. And the way he did it. Nobody could do it better than Hogan did it. So, very stupid decision by the WWF to try to have Lex Luger replace Hulk Hogan, because obviously they missed Hogan. WWF still could have made a lot of money with Hulk Hogan in the red and yellow and that gimmick. If he would have stayed around, they could have pushed Hogan with that gimmick until 95 or 94. And then they could have turned him heel. But that didn't happen. He went to WCW and did his gimmick until 96. And then he knew it got stale as fuck. Eric Bischoff knew the gimmick was getting super stale and boring. Kevin Sullivan, the WCW booker at the time, knew Hogan needed to turn heel. And Hogan agreed to turn heel. Great decision to agree to turn heel, because Hogan is a smart man. He's made millions in the wrestling business. He's not a dummy. He's a very smart guy when it comes to business that he's involved with. He's a very smart man. He knew turning heel was the right decision in '96 because the society was changing. The wrestling fans were changing. They wanted to cheer the bad guys way more, and they were cheering them way more. Stone Cold Steve Austin got cheered way before Stone Cold won the King of the Ring in '96. He was getting cheered way before that. The fans loved him, and they loved what Stone Cold was doing. And Hogan turning heel, becoming Hollywood Hogan, was a great decision on his part. And Lex Luger in WWF trying to make Lex Luger Hulk Hogan's replacement in '93 was not a good decision. This is what I think of it. It was bad. And it did not work. And I think WWF and Vince knew that. They were smart enough to say the Lex Luger All-American gimmick did not work. So they did not give him the world title. They kept having him be the American gimmick, the All-American gimmick, until he left in summer of '95. And I'll say for Lex, that was the right decision for him to leave, to go to WCW, to show up on the first Nitro. That was a great decision because it was shocking. It shocked the wrestling world. But can't really say it's Lex Luger's fault that he was over. And if he would have won the title, the crowd at SummerSlam '93, the crowd would have popped and been happy, I'm sure. So it's not his fault that the gimmick did not work. It's WWF's fault for trying to push Luger to replace Hulk Hogan. Because that's what his gimmick, Lex Luger and his All-American gimmick, that's what it was. It was like a younger version of Hulk Hogan, but not as good as Hulk Hogan. Because Luger could never get the fan reaction that Hulk Hogan got in his prime in the WWF when he was on top and when he was there. When Hogan was in the WWF, his entire run, he got cheered a lot. And if you don't think Hogan was over from '83 to '93, you're a fucking idiot, because Hogan was over his entire WWF run. Except when he lost the title to Warrior, a lot of people liked it, and they enjoyed seeing a new champion and a different guy as champion and a different character in the Ultimate Warrior beat Hogan. But after Hogan lost to Warrior, the fans still loved him. And WWF knew that, and they gave him the title back at WrestleMania 7 a year later. Because WWF always knew they could count on Hulk Hogan to draw money, basically, to put butts in seats. He always did that. And Lex Luger did not put butts in seats. I don't think he did. That was SummerSlam '93. Lex Luger defeats Yokozuna by countout, I believe. Yeah, by countout. Lex knocks out Yoko with his still plated forearm. Yoko falls out of the ring and gets counted out. And then they celebrate to have red, white balloons fall down from the arena into the ring. Red, white, and blue balloons come down. They start playing an American theme song. And Steiner Brothers and Macho Man come in the ring and start celebrating. They lift up Lex Luger on their shoulders and they celebrate like Lex Luger and just won the WWF title. He did not win. He didn't win a damn thing. And the company celebrated and had balloons drop like he won. Well, he did win the match, but he didn't win the title. So I don't know why the fuck he was celebrating like he just won the world title and became WWF champion. That was very stupid and that made no sense. I don't know why they did that. That was very stupid for the company to drop balloons just over a count-out victory. Okay, I talked about Beach Blast and SummerSlam and King of the Ring. That's 3 events right there, 3 pay-per-views. This was part 3 of the year in wrestling, 1993. This was part 3. Thank you for watching. If you did, I appreciate it a lot. And if you're a hardcore wrestling fan like me, and you enjoy watching my videos, thanks for watching them. I'll be back with part 4 of the year in wrestling. Part 4. I'll talk about some ECW, which started in the summer of '93, which I became aware of. I wasn't aware of ECW in '93 because they were only based in Philadelphia, but I am aware of ECW now. Obviously, I've seen every show from ECW in '93, '94, '95. So, and on. 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, when they were in business, I've seen every ECW pay-per-view and every ECW television show from the years they were in business. I'm a huge ECW fan. Always have been. They were a great company, and I wish they were still around, but they're not. Anyways, ECW started in the summer of '93, and they put on a couple big events. They were at the ECW arena that I own on DVD. And you had a lot of legends that were involved in ECW. First world champion, I believe, was... let me check. I'm not going to say this guy's name unless I'm exactly sure. First ECW world champion was Don Muraco or Jimmy Snuka. I'm not sure, so I'm going to look it up. First ECW world champion was Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He won the title April 25th, 1992. So he was world champ. And for a long time, in '93, Don Muraco defeated the Sandman to win the world title April 3rd, '93. Don Muraco won the title from the Sandman. Sandman had a god-awful, shitty gimmick. He was like a surfer. They had him wearing a bodysuit, and they were basically, he did not have the gimmick everybody knows the Sandman for. The drinking beers, cigarette smoking, Singapore cane swinging, hardcore icon, the Sandman. He did not have that gimmick. He did not come out to the Metallica's Enter Sandman. He did not have that gimmick. In '93, he had a lame-ass surfer gimmick. And Don Muraco beat him for the world title. I didn't even know Sandman was the ECW champion in '93. Who knew? Sandman defeated Don Muraco for the world title. Then Don Muraco defeated the Sandman. And in the summer of August 8th, '93, right before SummerSlam, Tito Santana defeated Don Muraco and became the ECW World Champion. And then Tito Santana would lose it again back to... No. Tito just won and beat Don Muraco. Don Muraco did not beat Tito. Tito Santana then, on September 9th, 1993, right when I became aware of ECW and saw one of their first shows that I own on DVD. I think it's called Ultra Clash. ECW Ultra Clash 93. Shane Douglas was world champion by then, but Shane Douglas defeated Tito Santana to win the ECW world title, and then Shane would hold it for only 1 month, and Sabu would defeat Shane Douglas to become the ECW world champion for a very short run, only 2-month title reign. So I'll talk about ECW when they were very new, and they were a very new promotion. I'll talk about their roster that they had in 93. And I'll talk about WCW's roster of great talent that they had in 93. And I'll talk about the WWF's roster that they had in 93. So I'll talk about ECW, some ECW, WWF, and of course WCW in my next video, part 4, 1993, the year in wrestling. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm out of here. Bye for now.